Hello, economics students. This is Mrs. Polisky, and I have your notes for Chapter 6, Section 1, Prices as Signals. So follow along. Here we go. What are four reasons that prices in a market economy perform the allocation function so well? These are the reasons. One, prices are neutral. They favor neither the consumer or the producer, and hence that makes it a more reliable um, mark as far as determining price. Prices in a market economy are flexible and can absorb shocks. So when we have kind of an economic downturn or an upswing, for the most part, prices will move accordingly to adjust. Number three, most people have known about prices all their lives. It's a very familiar thing. And then finally, for letter D here, prices really don't have any costs of administration. In other words, price will fit the need of the market, and hence you don't have to have like somebody come in and change all that. It kind of adjusts itself very naturally. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about rationing, and we've heard a little bit about this in recent years and in current events. But rationing, for the most part, is a system under which the government decides everyone's fair share, and under which everyone receives kind of a ration coupon for a certain amount of a product. In American history, we had this during the World Wars. So, an item that was highly rationed was fuel because the military needed it, and people needed it in the stateside kind of events that were happening here at home. And to make it fair for everyone, the government handed out ration coupons based on the needs that certain groups of people had. So, for example, if you were involved in agriculture, you probably received more ration coupons for fuel than somebody who lived in town. A person who might have lived in town, like a small town like Humphrey, might have received a ration coupon for 2 gallons of gas each week. And so they probably weren't going to be traveling too far. You got to remember, cars back in the day didn't get really good fuel economy. But what they could do is they could save up those coupons for a much longer trip. And sometimes people were doing those kind of things. Whereas if you were a farmer, you might have received more coupons because of the needs that you would have on the farm as far as moving goods to and from town, for putting, livestock out to pasture or such, or to raise your crops. All that was determined by the government. And again, uh, used during times of war. It could be used during times of economic crisis, like we see right now, but for the most part, we haven't gotten to that point where we need it. All right. Some problems that rationing can lead to: everybody feels like they aren't getting enough. They have too small of a share. And that's one of the concerns that we have with rationing. People have demands and they have wants and needs, and a lot of times it's more than what the government wants to hand out. Another reason is that rationing does have administrative cost. You have to have a group of people that are going to determine who's going to get what, and that costs money to pay those wages and such. There's also no way to ensure the coupons are used only for those who are intended. In other words, some people could trade those coupons back and forth, and it might not be as fair as it should be. Sometimes rationing can cause a negative impact on the incentive to produce items. If workers are paid in a set number of coupons, what's the incentive to work harder if you're only going to get so many coupons? So we do have to think about that. And one other aspect that isn't written here, but one that you might want to consider, is that sometimes during times of rationing, people work outside of the market, and they might use like a black market for goods that they really, really want, but the government doesn't think that they need. So those kind of things can occur. Okay. So, what is a rebate and how does that work? Well, if you've ever been to places like Menards, you know a lot about rebates because that's kind of how it works. Rebates are partial refunds of an original price of a product. idea is that you're going to buy the product at the at the regular price, and because you bought that product at a certain location, you might get an incentive, meaning a rebate for your purchase. So, when a product is not selling as well as producers hope, a rebate might be used as an incentive to get buyers out there to purchase a product. But it might be used as a way to help with the volume of traffic with a certain product. If we want more people to be buying a product, that we have a large quantities on hand, that might be one way to kind of make that happen. Anytime that we're looking at the market, we got to really kind of think about where supply and demand come together. And that's where we get into this concept of the equilibrium price. And I want to focus on this chart over here with letter B. We have our supply curve, we have our demand curve. Um, we know that price and quantity are two big factors here. At some point in time, our curves are going to cross, and that is what we consider to be the equilibrium price. This is going to be kind of what's going to determine the market price for a certain good. So, the supplier, business owner, they have to get a certain price. Okay, as a consumer, demand curve here, um, there's a certain price that we're going to feel like we want to buy a certain product. If it's too high or too low, that could cause an issue with our suppliers. So that equilibrium price is right there. And what we're going to do eventually is we're going to talk a little bit about how that can fluctuate back and forth. All right. Thank you very much.